welcome to Talking Down the Highway, a Beach Boys podcast presented by Strange Currencies Music. I'm Matt.
I'm Glenn.
I'm Tim, but I think we have to stop because I'm pretty sure Glenn's mic is recording. And
Is it?
We don't want that.
No.
Oh.
It should be recorded.
Sorry, I got it mixed up.
Screw you. Oh, you guys are terrible. Why are you so mean to me?
I don't know.
Shut up, Tim.
I hate you, Murray.
You should start an Instagram account called Shut Up
Shut up,
Tim.
Tim. That's what we're doing.
That's right. We heard from Shut Up Glenn.
Yeah.
I like Shut Up, Glenn.
He's nice.
He's nice.
Hold
I'm
on,
a big
hold on,
fan
hold on.
of Glenn.
I'm speaking of Glenn's. I gotta turn your microphone down, Glenn. This is ridiculous.
See, I thought when you guys said we were followed by an Instagram account called Shut Up Glenn, I thought that was like trolling people who were named Glenn because they're terrible people, but they're not. Glenn are great people.
Well, the guy who runs the account's name is Glenn.
Right, and he's awesome.
Well, he's fine because he's pointing out that every other Glenn is obnoxious.
Screw you.
And,
He's just getting ahead
Shut
of
up, Matt. Shut up, Tim.
But yeah, hi Glenn. I sent these guys a message that Shut Up Glenn sent us saying that he likes the podcast. He used to live in Iowa.
Hey, Iowa.
MIU.
MIU.
Yeah, the white sand beaches of Iowa.
Palm
And
trees.
he said that he knows some people who were there when the Beach Boys recorded the MIU album.
Ooh.
And then he
I
saw them
imagine
play
if
live
you're in
there.
Iowa, like, you know, that's like a big part of being in Iowa. Like, yeah, I was MIU.
Right.
I mean,
Let me see here. He sent a couple more
That and the
follow-ups.
white sand beaches.
It says,
that's kind of like when you're, you know, outside of California and somebody finds out you're from California, they ask you if you can surf. Same kind of thing. You're from Iowa.
No, I'm
do
from
you know,
Barstow.
You know, yeah, right. You're from Iowa. Oh, do you go to MIU?
Yeah. Are you an alum?
Yeah,
Are you
I'm
in the
an alum.
frat? So I'm going to read some quotes from that he, secondhand from people that he knew who lived there at the time. Quote, they set up a recording studio in one of the frat buildings. I did at one point ask Mike Love if they were going to do a concert for us. I'm sure hundreds of people asked him that. He just sort of snorted. That was a quote from his friend. And then
Snorted?
after the quote,
Wait, Mike,
he says,
was
also, P.S., fuck Mike Love.
What was he snorting?
Oh, there you go. Let's see what else. There was someone who worked at a diner. Oh no, it says someone's grandma was working at a diner at the time. She happened to be their waitress. They were high, drunk, joking around, and making advances. They were there all day and even made other wait staff cry. Some of the guys had their wives/girlfriends with them. Bodyguards were also there as well as their manager. As my grandma was leaving, she caught one of the guy's wives making out with a bodyguard in the alley.
Ooh, all right.
Anyway, we're getting some inside dirt.
Inside dirt.
From
All
Shut Up
right.
Glenn.
The Beach Boys tour in Iowa.
Bad boys.
The rough and tumble streets of Iowa.
Weren't they complaining that there was only one good restaurant in town too? That was one of the quotes.
Oh, really?
I think. Yeah. I think it was Denny's, right?
Oh, man.
They were playing ping pong.
Oh, yeah. Maybe it was the Denny's that this was talking about.
Yeah.
The one Denny's in Iowa?
The only one in the state.
In the state of Iowa.
All the others were washed away when the
the white
ocean levels
sands, yeah.
rose.
Yep. Rip. Yep. All right. Well, thank you to that, Glenn, for
Nice.
listening.
Yeah.
All right.
The one good Glenn.
We like
Yeah.
Glenn. Hey!
Sorry,
Hey.
I mean...
All right. Any other exciting stuff?
I don't know. I just came back from a youth baseball tournament. Merca. It was 4th of July. We're near 4th of July, right? That's what I'm.
When we're
excusing
recording
it.
this, yeah, this will be
Everyone-
released after 4th of July.
Apparently this previous weekend was 4th of July weekend, even though 4th of July isn't until this Thursday.
Yeah,
Whatever.
all of the teams had alternate. I am hoping they are alternate 4th of July uniforms because there were American flags everywhere at this little 10U youth baseball tournament.
As long as where the stars were in rows, right? Not in a big X pattern.
I shouldn't show him the photo. No,
Were they upside down and hanging on a Supreme Court justice's?
they were black and white. I will say.
Oh, wait, did they have a blue line in the middle? Hey, okay.
It was yeah. No, it was a lot of baseball. A lot of 10-year-old baseball this weekend for old Glenn.
Speaking of Supreme Court, apparently laws don't exist anymore.
That's cool.
Yeah.
Love the Supreme Court.
Yeah.
But,
Yeah.
you know, this...
I'm sure they'll be up to some more shenanigans by the time this podcast drops. I don't know. They're done basically for the year. You know,
They are, yeah.
they did their 2 weeks worth of horrible, miserable work. It's like when Mike Love, rears his ugly head.
I can't believe it took the country this long to realize what a bad idea it is to just have someone able to appoint people to the Supreme Court and have the people on the Supreme Court always be there until they die.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah, I think whoever came up with that was a little naive.
Yeah.
Didn't
I don't
think,
know.
it is
As a
corrupt.
history teacher, I do mention sometimes that has come in handy that, the justices are there for life. They're able to sometimes step away from the politics of the moment and do the right thing, like in the civil rights movement. I mean, it was the Supreme Court that really kind of led the charge, although they also, fucked up in 1857 with the Dred Scott case. And look, this is now turning into a history
seriously, what's
lesson here.
happening
But what
here?
I'm saying is,
Shut up, Matt.
there's some value theoretically behind the
Theoretically,
idea of lifetime appointments, but
That
now.
was back when people were, not so.
I think it is fitting, though, that we're talking about lifetime appointments, nepotism, little there's some coattail riding is what I'm saying in this story that we're going to talk about today.
I guess.
You're talking about the fat boys, how they were nepo babies.
I just think we need to terminate
Yes,
some lifetime appointments.
it was the fat men who really paved the way for them.
Yeah, so it's been confirmed the Supreme Court is still cruising.
Well, I don't know. I mean, this thing doesn't drop until a couple weeks from now.
We'll
so
see if they're still cruising.
Who knows what the next few weeks may hold?
Lots can happen.
We can make all these great predictions. Both presidential candidates melted in the sun in a hot July sun.
That's right.
It was a choice, but hey, now we're having to go back to the drawing board.
I know.
Damn.
Maybe there's gonna a negative rapture where certain people just get sucked into fiery chasms.
Oh,
and everyone else left behind is kind of cool and decent.
Okay.
Bizarro.
I like that.
Cool. Bizarro rapture.
I like that. Yeah. Drag me to hell style.
Yeah. All right.
That's my prediction. Officially.
Nice. Okay. Well, hey,
It's on the books.
let's unless you guys had anything else.
I'm ready to get into this shirt because
Let's go double speed for this one.
I wish other Glenn had some more anecdotes about the Beach Boys' time in Iowa, honestly. Because I'm not going to lie, MIU is looking pretty fucking good right now from this vantage
I'm
point.
starting to realize that I think I was dreading this era of the Beach Boys.
So, hold on. Now we're getting a little bit ahead of it. Let's take the break and we'll come
let's
back
take a break.
and
Okay.
talk what
All
it
right,
is
all
that
right.
we're actually
Focus.
talking about.
All right,
Yes,
all right.
focus,
Fair,
people.
Fair.
Let's prepare our psyches.
Yeah, we'll be right back. All right, we are back. And this week we're talking about
Still
Still cruising.
cruising.
We're still cruising.
So they've kept the summer alive, and now they're keeping cruising
They're
alive.
doing it again. They're still cruising.
Yeah.
Again,
All right.
I mentioned this a while back, but boys, retirement is an option.
So before the break,
Well, that's what cruises usually are for.
we were talking about, or I was getting all pumped up because when we started this journey, when we started cruising down this highway, see what I did there?
I don't get it.
Okay.
This is terrible.
I was worried about this era. I was foreboding, okay, it's going to get bad. Matt's been all along, has been like, oh, wait, it gets worse. And so I've been bracing myself. But
It still gets worse, Glenn.
God, really?
Oh, yes. Yes.
I'm turning a corner here. Here's what I'm doing. I'm changing my perspective here because I think these episodes are more fun the worse the music gets.
Maybe.
I think this is not maybe the music that America needs, but the music America deserves. I think that there is a train wreck happening and there's something fascinating about watching it just crash and burn. It's wild.
It's been... Sorry.
That's what I can't hear those two words together without.
It's the late 80s here. And what's happening in the world? What's happening in the world musically?
I don't remember. Or the Pixies or a thing.
I mean,
Nirvana.
No, well, I mean, 89,
Nirvana's
I
coming
guess. Sure,
on the
sure,
horizon.
yeah.
It's 1989.
They might be giants. Flaming Lips have been doing it for a while.
We kind of like alternative rock is starting to
bubbling up.
underground.
Yeah, they were calling it college rock at the time.
Right.
Okay.
That's not even on the
No.
wavelength. of
I
what
was
we're
just
talking
trying
about
to
here. Like,
forget
I
all
mean,
the popular stuff that was happening.
okay. So we're going to talk about like good stuff.
I'm
Well,
just saying.
I don't know what Glenn's point was.
Yeah, I'm not
that's-
either. Yeah,
that's what I'm saying. Like,
yeah.
there's potential here. There's stuff going on, and
Well,
and
not
the Beach
here,
Boys
not in this- yeah.
are going the opposite direction.
Well, yeah.
And so, like,
And let's be honest, like popular tastes in the late '80s were fucking terrible.
Yeah.
Terrible. I mean, this is like era of hair bands and I mean, you got MC Hammer right around the corner.
Too Legit to Quit was pretty good album. This was dark. He took a dark turn there.
Yeah.
It's too long.
I mean, pop music is in a shit place, and the Beach Boys are reflecting what mainstream pop music is into at this moment.
and
Like,
I would even argue,
like Tim referencing good music here. That's not on the wavelength.
No.
That's not what's going on in the Beach Boys world.
and that's what I'm saying is that even beyond that, like, what the whole, I mean, we'll get to Wipeout, but like, when did like Walk This Way?
Oh God.
Run DMC. That was still early 80s.
85-ish, I think. So that
I don't know.
that song
Somebody
was on
look that
Raising
up.
Hell, and Raising Hell
I
was
feel like
85 or 86.
that was even earlier than this.
Well,
I feel like this is
what point are you trying to get
I'm
to
making
here?
I'm making the point that the I don't want to call this the Beach Boys, but it is the Beach Boys. They are so desperate here that they're not only trying to do what's popular, they're doing what was popular 5 years ago. They're not even on the cutting edge.
Well, no, they haven't been for 20 years.
Right.
But yeah, no, I know what you're saying.
And I'm saying like
Carl, some of his stuff at this era is like, yeah, it's like just a little too late for the trend. You know, they're a little bit
Exactly.
behind the beat.
they're behind the peak of the trend. Like this whole like early, a lot of the early hip hop stuff, and we're going to talk about Wipeout as it comes, was like that's already been done at this point, is what I'm saying.
Well, I think you guys are getting a little ahead of the curve here. First off, we're talking about Still Cruisin' as an album, sure, but like almost a year, I think over a year before Still Cruisin' comes out, we have to talk about something else that happened.
Surfer Rosa comes out.
Surfer
Oh,
Rosa.
that's what we're talking about.
yeah.
Okay.
I think Mike Love was pretty intimately involved in Surfer Rosa. I think he was. He and Steve Albini were, kind of
Because Mike's a
engineering
surfer.
that. Yeah.
Well, exactly, yeah. And I think he's actually Steve Albini's dad. People don't know that, but yeah.
Interesting. You know, there's no greater tragedy than when a father outlives the son.
That's right.
Yeah. Anyway, so
I agree. Mike Love should have died way before Steve Albini.
so anyway, no, we have to be we got to get the whole context.
Right.
1 year before Still Cruisin' comes out,
A little movie called Cocktail.
revitalizes the Beach Boys' career because they contribute to the soundtrack of said film. A little song called Kokomo.
And it's honestly, it's pretty it's shocking that they would write an original song for a soundtrack, considering they've got this whole back catalog where like people just throw their music in movies and whatever.
Right.
So I don't know. Maybe they were bored, but well, actually, what they were is they were buddies, I guess, with John Phillips.
Yeah. So
Not John Phillips Sousa,
Not
No,
John. The other,
unfortunately.
it is 4th of July. We need a march in here. No,
Kind of sounds like they just straight up stole the song from him. I mean, they were friends and collaborating and stuff, but he wrote a whole song.
Yeah, like the song was already out there. It was like a demo that he had written. And I don't know, are we going to do this now? Or are we going to talk about this as we get to
And
track
this is
by
context.
track? Yeah, I mean,
Let's get into some context.
all right, so Sousa's...
Stars and Stripes
Stars
Forever.
and
It sounds
Stripes
pretty much
Forever
exactly
starts.
like the Liberty Bell, whatever.
and then John Phillips says... All right, so John Phillips writes this demo.
From the Mamas and the Papas.
He's
Papa
the
John.
mama, yeah.
With
the mama.
with Scott McKenzie,
Yeah, and
who
so...
was known for the if you're going to San Francisco,
Which John Phillips wrote, I think.
yeah. Or I think they wrote together. Anyways.
Who cares?
I'll check the wiki.
Point being, he writes this song, and it's
Yes, John
it's kind
Phillips
of
wrote that.
you know, it's kind of in a minor key. It's kind of this sad, reflective, and it's in past tense. I only know this because I was listening to Kokomo this week, and I was like, that lyric's a little too clever for Mike Love to have written it. The whole like, we'll get there fast and then take it slow. I was like, oh, that's kind of clever. Like, we'll get there fast and then we'll take it slow. Oh, okay, all right. I was like, oh, that's kind of clever. And I was like, certainly Mike Love didn't write that. And so I went and did some digging. Sure enough, John Phillips. Well, actually, I don't know if Mike Love wrote that line or not, but John Phillips wrote the song, the demo.
Yeah.
Then Mike Love got a hold of it and is like, hey, this is too sad. Let's make it happy. And so he makes it positive. He makes it a major key. And he adds like, I call it the rap, the whole Key Largo, Montego. I feel like it's
Oh
Mike
yeah, that's
Love.
right. He puts in the chorus essentially.
Yeah, like
He's a hooks guy.
And he likes to name locations.
places, right? When in doubt,
Name a bunch of
name
places.
a bunch
yeah.
of yeah.
When in
Bunch of
doubt, pull out a
islands.
map.
Yeah, exactly.
So I mean,
Even though Kokomo's in Indiana, but you know,
Really?
well, I mean, there's a Kokomo there. There's not like a Caribbean island called
No.
Kokomo.
is there a Denny's in Kokomo?
Maybe.
Yeah. So, anyways, there's the song. It gets picked up on the Cocktail soundtrack, and it explodes.
Yeah, it's fucking massive. It's
Yeah.
everywhere from like 1988, summer 1988 to like summer 1989. You could not go anywhere without hearing that fucking song.
Yep.
So I was a kid, just a wee lad. And my God, Kokomo was everywhere. And this is not just me trying to get some cred 30 years down the road, but I hated that song back then.
See that I'm struggling with this because I don't I remember hearing Kokomo, but I don't remember if I was like appalled by it.
I was 6. I
so-
liked it just fine.
So,
Yeah, I
so
don't-
I would have been 8 and 9
And I still do.
in the peak of it, and I very, very specifically remember that there were 2 songs, both associated with soundtracks, that I just felt like, holy shit, like music can be really fucking lame, like soul crushingly lame. One of those songs was Kokomo, and the other was that godforsaken I've Had the Time of My Life.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
I hated both of those songs so much. Yeah, just for whatever reason.
Classic.
And still, I
Yeah,
just
yeah.
despise
Good
both
song.
of them. No.
Should we try the list?
2 good songs. No.
Yeah,
It's fucking yuppie music.
yeah.
I've never seen Cocktail.
No.
But I bet Dirty Dancing is way better than Cocktail.
You guys didn't watch the movies?
No.
I spent
Sorry.
2 weeks watching all
man.
of these films.
Good Morning Vietnam.
I watched them all, like Troop
Big
Beverly
Chill.
Hills, the whole.
Stop yelling.
True
Glenn.
Beverly Hills. I was a big fan of that as a child. For some reason, I think it was one of the VHS tapes, like one of the 3 movies that my aunt and uncle had at their house, and my brother and I stayed there. We'd like throw that movie on. So I've seen True Beverly Hills a bunch of times. I don't remember anything about it.
Yeah, I know, but yeah,
Classic.
that's good stuff.
Anyway, so this whole episode's about Kokomo and how good it is.
Well, so it does revive their
Yeah.
profile, certainly.
Right.
And it really kind of sets the scene for this, comeback album.
Well,
in
and
a
then
way.
right around that time, Lethal Weapon 2 uses the song
Which one?
Still Cruisin'.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Wait, is that on?
Yeah. And then what else? There's a bunch of other let's see what other movie. Yeah, so Troop Beverly Hills. There's another I should really look this up.
Oh, yeah, it is from Lethal. I didn't put that down
Yeah.
on my notes. Huh.
Yeah, you didn't watch Lethal Weapon 2?
I mean, I've seen it, obviously. I have the Criterion box set. Kokomo was like a #1 hit, yeah.
Yeah, it was massive. It was everywhere. And yeah, so
Deservedly so.
they're like back in the spotlight, really for the first time, it seems, in a while. I don't know that anything from the Beach Boys that we talked about recently, that really, even though there were videos apparently, as we saw for
Oh, yeah.
Get Your Back.
There were videos for this one, too.
Like, I don't know that was, any kind of a hit per se. And I think we said it was
so.
like somewhere in the 50s or somewhere like that
Yeah,
where it landed.
Kokomo was the first original top 20 single in 20 years.
Yeah.
Prior.
Since like Good Vibrations, right?
Well, that was their most recent number one hit. That was 22 years prior. I don't know what their other one was in, 68 or whatever.
Probably Bluebirds Over the Mountain.
68? Yeah.
Somewhere in there. And as you said, there is a video, and we'll get into. Should we get into the video right now?
I don't know. There's 4 videos from this album.
Oh, wow. I didn't watch any of them other than Kokomo's video.
Should have watched Wipeout. I should have texted you guys about that.
You should have, yeah. We might need to take a break and watch these videos.
I don't want to talk about Kokomo anymore.
We don't want to talk about Kokomo anymore? I did want to mention 2 things from the video. One, the saxophone solo.
Oh, yeah.
It makes it look like Mike Love is playing it. And he is absolutely not playing the saxophone in that song. Play more than 2
because
notes. All we know, all Mike Love can do on the saxophone is.
To be fair, that's probably what he was playing in the actual filming of the video. He was just honking away like that.
Yeah.
Wow.
But then they dubbed over the actual solo, I imagine.
Yeah.
I think whenever like saxophone in music made like a popular kind of maybe comeback in the 80s.
You think about Mike Love?
Mike was salivating. He's like, oh, let's use that. People think I played it.
Hey, you know what?
A saxophone player.
While we're on the subject, it sounds like it's time for an episode of Heroes and Villains. That's right. It's time for Heroes and Villains. We'll discuss the heroes and the villains of whatever it is we happen to be talking about this week. And this week we're talking about, well, Kokomo right now. All right. As we always, we got to start with the heroes. And heroes, as always, Brian Wilson.
I guess.
Why?
Wilson.
Because Brian Wilson has nothing to do with Kokomo.
Yeah,
He's not there. He doesn't write it. He doesn't sing on it.
He's in the video.
He doesn't
I think.
do anything. No, he's not in the video.
He was
All right, so
vaguely there.
So context for this: Brian Wilson has nothing to do with Kokomo.
Yeah. Now Eugene Landy has something to do with that.
Right.
So
right.
maybe this is like the best thing Eugene Landy ever did was keep Brian Wilson away from Kokomo. Like, let's be honest.
Eugene Landy demanded
every
producer
villain
credits.
Every villain at least maybe does one decent act, right? And so
this is his.
Yeah. So Eugene Landy, other than dying, this is the next best thing Eugene Landy ever did. He kept Brian Wilson away from Kokomo. So okay, fine.
So Landy demands producer credits because he's controlling Brian Wilson at this point in the context.
But
and
he doesn't demand credit for Kokomo.
Yeah,
really?
that was the thing.
Yeah.
He wanted a producer credit on
I see.
Kokomo.
And he
Otherwise,
wouldn't let Brian
he won't
sing.
let
Otherwise,
Yeah.
he won't let Brian anywhere near it. And Mike Love was like, "No, I got a hit on my hands. I'm not sharing the credits with anyone." And so he refused. So he let it go, and that's why Brian's not anywhere on it.
Now there's a lot of villains here. We already mentioned John Phillips. Horrible person.
Wow.
Terrible person.
And I didn't know this until we sat down to record. I was like,
some
Mamas
quick
and the
Googling.
Papas.
Glenn got deep into the Wikipedia.
I went, I didn't realize, but John Phillips is a terrible person.
And it came out
Monster.
when Mackenzie wrote a biography or something like that?
Yeah, 8 years after his death, Mackenzie Phillips, it came out that that he, drugged her up, pumped her full of heroin, and and had an incestuous relationship with her when she was 19. Worse than that, on the eve of her honeymoon. Worse than just as bad. Auxiliarily, I don't know. The honeymoon that Mackenzie Phillips went on.
Is that the Japan thing?
That is Japan.
Somewhere
Somewhere in Japan,
near Japan,
which is a track that John Phillips ended up writing and was used on Still Cruisin'. We'll talk about that a little bit more maybe
And
as
it
we
sucks.
get to it. It's terrible.
Yeah.
It's an awful song, but John Phillips writes it based on a message he gets from Mackenzie Phillips. She writes him
Calls him, I thought?
or calls
maybe,
him.
I don't know. It doesn't matter.
Something from her honeymoon, and it's like, we're out of drugs, we're out of money. Send drugs, send money. And he's like, where are you? And she said, somewhere near Japan. And that line stuck with him, so he wrote that about her honeymoon. somewhere near Japan, which it turns out it was Guam, which is nowhere near Japan.
Not really, no.
But like he wrote this song about like, my daughter on her honeymoon, and
like a bad guy.
kids will be kids. Got to send her more drugs, send her more money. But he had just like incestuously raped her. That same. Oh my gosh.
You know,
John Phillips.
We're talking about the albums getting worse and worse. I feel like we should adjust our scale, bump Mike Love down to like -5, and include guys like Landy and John Phillips and all these people near the bottom.
They can share it with Mike.
Okay.
So we're still not done with heroes and villains, though. Also, another villain rears his hair in the video for Kokomo.
Stamos.
John Stamos.
And he's really hamming it up in that video.
Oh,
too.
yeah. He is into those bongos.
And the steel drum, pretending to play the steel drum.
Yeah. Is he wearing like a purple tank top too?
I think so.
Yeah. Total late 80s.
He's very Jesse Katsopoulos in that.
Yeah,
like
very
Is
much
this the
so.
genesis of the Beach Boys? Full
No.
House?
Not exactly, but kind of.
Yeah, sort of.
Maybe.
Yeah.
There's connections there.
We're gonna need to
So
do
yes,
this.
definitely also a villain. Although he did probably zip line to that location, so that's kind of cool, I guess.
I don't know if I think he's a villain now. At that point, he was just kind of a fanboy, and like he got to play with his heroes, and he just maybe wasn't able to see the forest for the trees or whatever. Like
He's a villain.
Like it's just
He's
the
terrible.
Beach Boys. He doesn't consider the fact that it's really the evil Beach Boys.
No. Well, and obviously, even in spite of Phillips and Stamos, the real villain here, Mike Love.
Dr. Love.
Yeah.
Dr. Love.
Hold that. You got to save that one. All right, yeah. Mike Love still is the
Mike
villain.
Love.
Why? Because he's always the villain.
always the villain.
And Kokomo is his baby.
Kokomo is-
and it's trash.
Devil baby.
And Mike is terrible. And is that all the context we really need for this horrible album
I
that
think
we're about
so.
to? Okay.
Well, I mean, I was going to say the other context that you need is that. Are we already done with Heroes and Villains?
Yeah, great episode.
Great episode.
Yeah.
Soul crushing, but a great episode.
I will say, Mike Love had an idea for this album, Still Cruisin'.
Right.
And his idea was...
Is this another brilliant concept album?
It's a brilliant concept
It was supposed to
album.
be if it
It
weren't
was
for
supposed to be.
a couple assholes and politics.
And politics. So it's supposed to be an album of movie soundtracks. He's like, hey...
songs that were in movies.
Songs that were in movies. Which, really, if you want to sneak peek into Mike Love's brain, it's... Ooh, Kokomo, let me reprint it again and make more money on it because that's big.
I mean, he basically says that in the quote. It's supposed to be a repackaging.
It's supposed to be a
of all these
repackage.
songs. Yeah.
And so he's going to repackage Kokomo, and he's like, what other songs have been used, Beach Boys songs have been used? Okay, well, Lethal Weapon 2 is going to use Still Cruisin'. Let's see, what else? Troop Beverly Hills, they use, Make It Big. Good Morning Vietnam had used I Get Around. Mm-hmm. The Big Chill, Soul Man used Wouldn't Be Nice, California Girls.
Soul Man used California Girls.
Yeah. We can put those together and put them on. And they were going to have a whole album of Beach Boys at the movies.
Like recent songs and then old songs.
And so that was the idea, but then the bureaucracy was like, oh, you can't just repackage
the
it.
Politics.
So my complaints, maybe he
damn
has
Democrats
a point.
again.
Maybe he has a point that like his theory, it would have been kind of nice to have a repackage.
My theory is Mike Love eats dog food.
Yeah, that's true.
Prove us wrong.
So they crap out some originals and slap it together.
Well, what's his quote is something like, it got watered down with politics, meaning Brian's Dr. Landy forcing a song called In My Car, which was never in a movie, and a song by Al, which ultimately ended up on the album, called Island Girl, which was never in a movie either. So he's like basically shitting on, these fucking original songs, get out of here. But then there's other ones on there too, like Somewhere Near Japan was not in a movie. Wipeout was, probably in some movies, but not this version.
Yeah.
So I don't know what he's saying.
But
Dumbass.
Wipeout had already come out. It had already come out in 87, 2 years prior.
This as a single?
No, on the Fat Boys album.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, Fat Boys album.
I didn't do much research because I didn't care to.
Well, so the Fat Boys put this out 2 years prior to this.
Okay.
It was a huge hit. It was because 2 years ago, that whole like rap was
A little bit
thing.
more relevant.
It was
Okay.
a little bit. It was more relevant. And so then he's
The whole rap thing. It's long dead now.
Well, Mike Love's like, hey, I'm gonna cash in on that too.
Right.
You know, we didn't get any money from that. It was on the
I mean,
Fat
like
Boys
the
album.
Yeah, the pop and
Yeah.
hip hop sort of
Yeah, the
collab
blend,
thing,
right.
the Aerosmith kind of thing. Yeah. Mhm.
But again, that was that was far before this had happened. That was like 83, I think.
Yeah, but I
And-
mean, it's.
I mean, it'd be
hold on.
Again,
be
I
it's like a
stopped.
compilation.
I'm literally just like on my phone right now because you're boring me to tears. Did you just say what was 83?
the Walk This Way.
No, I already told
It's
you.
85.
Okay. It's either 85 or 86. I'll look this up.
Either way, it's
I
5
don't
years
care.
after the fact, and they're trying to put this out. It'd be akin to the Beach Boys right now, Mike Love right now, trying to do like a K-pop song or like a dubstep song, like
That'd be funny.
right? Don't give him any ideas, but like it was a trend that is gone. So, anyways,
1986.
okay, well, still,
Yeah, I
There you
told
go.
you that
Same
like
year.
20 minutes ago, and you still keep on this. So, which is 1 year apparently before the Beach Boys and the Fat Boys boy it up together. So your context is wrong.
Well,
like
one
they are
thing,
on
though.
the cutting edge of this
Sure.
hip hop thing.
Except, well, they were going to be. This would have even been more of a retread, but it was going to be Run DMC initially with for Wipeout, which honestly probably would have been better. But then I don't know. Mike Love apparently struck a deal with the Fat Boys. He probably just liked the fact that they had boys in their name.
yeah. I think also they had maybe more mainstream appeal at the time.
Maybe probably so. Yeah. Well, I don't even know what their single was. Their hit single.
Yeah, I would think Run DMC
They were
was.
they were the Fat Boys it was a novelty act. They were kind of like this kind of like tongue in cheek. They were like fun and I don't know.
All right, who cares? Let's just take a break or something.
Yeah, we're 33 minutes almost into this thing. So. We'll be back to talk about the A side. Yay.
All right, we're back to talk. Ugh. Are you okay? You need a bucket? Tim is vomiting, and we are going to talk about the A side of Still Cruisin', the Beach Boys' 1989 studio album. Is it?
Who cares?
It's a studio.
Track
whatever.
one.
Track one, Still Cruisin'. As we all remember from that classic scene in Lethal Weapon 2.
I never watched Lethal Weapon 2.
I did, but I don't remember anything about it. I think the
I-
bad guys were from South
I don't
Africa.
know. I think Riggs is in the car and he's old and he puts this on in the car and that's it.
I
One
gotta
day
come
closer
clean.
to
I don't even
retirement.
think I've ever watched Lethal Weapon 1. Yeah.
Yeah, well.
It's good. First one's good.
So
so
he's still cruising. It's terrible.
I wrote that. I like the little intro, the kind of like semi-acapella part, but that's all.
It's awful.
The video
It's-
is bad too. This is one they did a video for. I didn't even watch the whole thing.
I just put that it's just desperate.
It's
Yeah.
super desperate. They have no business. Yeah. It's bad.
I have a couple, like, I cannot pull the song up in my head, which fortunately is the case for most of these.
Right.
But I just wrote down a couple of things, some lyrical nuggets, I guess, that I pulled out here. Apparently, at one point, they say, where we can make out.
I remember that, yeah.
And then, baby, put your top down. So,
Ew.
some suggestive stuff, I guess, there. So
There was
fun.
something about this song being a tie-in with, I don't know, Ford or Chevy or something like that. They were giving away a car. So the music video was them driving around in this
Again.
car. It was going to be a contest. It's stupid.
Yeah. Again, all of this is just like, give me some money. It's desperate.
Yep.
It's like, it's produced to like no end. Like the drums just sound, it's
Bad.
yeah, it's bad.
Hey, guys, I got to let you know. I'm just exhausted. I'm just fucking exhausted.
You're almost done cruising.
Yeah. Yeah. All right. Let's keep going.
2.
Somewhere near Japan.
We talked about this.
Incest is happening.
John Phillips. It's also a bad song.
It's also
And the music
a bad
video.
song.
So this song, like, I don't know what the lyrics are. I know they're about that. But like the music video, obviously, immediately leans into the like geisha imagery and stuff like that.
Yeah,
It's very bad. I could only find a really poor quality version, and I watched like the first 20 seconds and turned it off.
And when we say bad, I mean like the production is overproduced. There's no heart and soul in it. It's just plastic, and there's even beyond that, it's just cringy.
Mm-hmm.
It's like this dirty old man singing about his daughter.
You have the context now, yeah.
But no, even that. The song is about like the kids, they're gonna get married in somewhere near Japan. Like that's the song.
I just know there's a line about her being on some Chinese junk, and it's supposed to have a double meaning because that's what type of ship also. But first of all, that she's near Japan anyway. But
The song,
I never interpreted it that way. I hear that, I'm
that's
like,
the thing. The
sucks,
lyrics
singing
are about her wanting more drugs
heroin,
and calling home for more money and more drugs.
Something about the tone of the song made me not even recognize the double meaning.
Right.
Yeah.
It's really bad.
Musically, I described it as MIDI exotica. And I did note that at least the 12-string sounds like it was played on an actual real instrument.
Wow.
So that's something.
Debatable.
Yeah. I also said my highest rating here, but that doesn't make it good. So, of the new songs.
I've got a hot take on ratings. We'll talk about later.
Yeah. Okay.
Track 3.
Next one, Island Girl. This is an Al song. I have written down terrible lead vocal. I think it's Carl at some point. I don't remember what the song sounds like, but he says, "I found her," something like that. He sings the word "her" in a very obnoxious, annoying way.
And she's so sassy. She's so sassy. Ugh. It's cringy. Again, it's that exoticism, like.
Oh yeah.
It just does not age well. It's got the steel drums in it, and he's singing about. I don't know. It made me question my life. It made me question. Like I went back and I was like, maybe Matt has a point about Marcella. Were you the one that hated on Marcella?
It's not great, no.
And I really liked it, but like now it made me think like, are they just singing about like exploiting women?
Yeah.
Yeah. You said it made you question your life. I have exactly one note written here on Island Girl, and that is, I hate my life.
Yeah.
And so like maybe this is the music that we deserve. I don't know.
Hey guys, you know what? The next track, finally, a Brian song.
Yeah.
Sung by Brian. This has got to be the best song on the whole album, right?
Yep.
Yes.
No. It's called In My Car, and it's no In My Room. I'll tell you that.
Well, hey, In My Room was great. Why not do it again with In My Car? Yeah, why not?
God, it's bad. I wrote wow, pretty fucking awful. Maybe the credit of Landy and his girlfriend co-writing this, maybe that's correct.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
So it doesn't say it because after the whole Landy thing, like they went back retroactively and removed songwriting credits for Eugene Landy. I almost wonder if Brian really literally had nothing to do with this song. That's the way I'm going to take it.
It's very bad.
I'm going to say that this was Eugene Landy. This is a cheeseburger song, whatever. I don't know. He said, Brian, write a hit song. Here, check out. I got a new girlfriend. I'm going to impress her. I'll give her a writing credit. What should we? Oh man, it's bad.
I got a couple notes on it. Hold on, my phone just shut down. I have to.
It knows that it doesn't want to be involved in any of this.
Yeah. So I said Brian's sense of melody has finally left him. I think this is pretty clear evidence. I mean, even when he was phoning shit in before, it's like, it's still Brian. You can still kind of hear it. Nope, not here. Nope. I also was questioning if there was some sort of like staff orientation video or something that I could watch instead of having to listen to this. Why not?
You could get forklift certified.
Yeah, something like that. Yeah.
Maybe an audio book about risk management.
Yeah.
Yep.
Bloodborne pathogens.
There we go. And then the other
That
thing.
was a Seinfeld joke. I don't even think Matt even got that.
No, risk management. Yeah.
Okay.
And then the audiobook is the guy with the same voice.
It's George.
Yes,
Okay,
it's George,
okay.
of course. Come on. Give me some credit here. By the way, have we made any progress on that bingo game?
Bingo
Yeah,
game.
we need to.
Oh, I don't know.
Oh, I mean, the bingo game's totally out there by the time this episode drops.
I don't even remember.
Okay. My last note is here. There were people who actually paid money for this album, and they deserved this album. Yeah.
That's yep.
They encouraged it.
This album went platinum eventually.
Good God.
Yeah.
Well, again, if you want Kokomo, the song that's everywhere.
Yep.
Because hey, this is the great artists of our time telling us what great music is.
And
Here's
speaking
Kokomo,
of,
this is great
And
music.
this is also like right at the dawn of the CD era too, so maybe that had like, oh, you can get Kokomo and these other
Maybe.
at the end 3 Beach Boys hits,
I like
on
to think
CD.
it was still thought of in the in the side 1, side 2 format though, because they're closing out side 1 with the song Kokomo,
with Kokomo, yeah.
which surprising amount of restraint not putting it as track 1. Giving you something to look forward to before you flip the disc.
But with the CD, you can just skip right to it now.
Yeah, that's true. See, okay, so Kokomo, we already talked a lot about it.
Yeah.
I say, like, baggage aside and, like, looking at it in the context of this album, it's the best song on the album.
Okay.
It's a highlight.
Except for, of course, and we'll get into the last few.
Well,
but yes,
yeah, it doesn't even count, really.
you compare it to every other piece of shit on the first side of this album, and it's like, oh, this is good.
Okay. Hot take. Hot take.
Okay.
Kokomo, and again, I'm coming into this album. I was kind of like reticent. I was like, I didn't. Kokomo, I recognize it. As a kid, it didn't bother me. Until I've seen the narrative, and Kokomo is, in fact, the worst song on this album, and here's why. It is the worst song on this album because of what it represents. It represents Mike Love because his name's on it. This is his badge. It represents, hey, Brian Wilson's name is not on it. So this validates for Mike Love that, hey, the Beach Boys is not Brian Wilson. It's you, Mike. And it gave him this sense of bravado, this sense of like justification that all this time I have what it takes. These are my songs too. Look at what a big hit Kokomo is. And so it encouraged him.
Yeah.
I think this song is the worst song, not because musically, which it is bad.
It's
I'm
just like
realizing
the
now.
domino effect.
It's
the
the domino
implications.
effect. It's like
because before, like he would always had this thing of like we got to have a more commercial sound. We got to give the people this more bullshit that they want. And every time it's been like no, nobody wanted that. And then they've been huge failures. And now
It's the triumph of Mike Love's
It's
artistic
triumph.
vision.
It's
And
making
he's
him
like,
start to think. You know what?
It
I
went
could-
platinum.
Maybe I
It's
should
sold.
sue for songwriting credits in a few years.
Exactly. And so,
Yeah,
and that's
okay.
where I think this is the beginning of the end. I think this is like Mike Love, like, see, I know what good music is. Let me make more decisions. We don't need Brian.
Yeah. But
I hate it. I absolutely despise it. I hated it as a kid because, again, couldn't walk into a grocery store without hearing fucking Kokomo, and it was music that lame old people liked. I hate it now because, exactly as Glenn has pointed out, it represents the triumph of Mike Love's Beach Boys.
Yeah.
And fuck that. Now, musically, I will acknowledge it is far superior to any of the other quote-unquote new tracks on this, but I still despise it.
And it's not a new track. It's not a new track.
I mean, it's a year old, but I do have two notes.
okay.
One, Carl can still sing.
Oh yeah.
His work on the second half of the chorus, that's nice. My other note is Mike still can't sing.
He can sing. So, as evilness aside, John Phillips co-wrote the song. He's an actual songwriter, unlike Mike Love. So there's a little bit of that happening. It's got a kind of a chill, like a slow, not a slow build, but it just kind of takes its time before that Aruba kicks in.
That's the Mike Love edition.
It is,
Yeah.
but like It really is catchy. Like on a musical level, this will get stuck in your head all day long. For me, it has more nostalgia than anything.
Yeah.
I don't hate it. I understand, like, before we started this whole podcast, you know, the context or the assumption is like, oh, this is like the very sort of lowest of the low Beach Boys thing. And obviously since then we've heard a lot of low things. So this is elevated to maybe just underneath the actual good stuff. You know, I like it. I'll hum along. I enjoy it. I don't know if I'm going to put it on voluntarily too often, but
It's terrible.
good song. Solid.
No, it's not a good song.
Solid.
It's terrible.
Good song. Great song. Tiny little bit of trivia. I forgot to look this up and listen to it, but Brian apparently does appear on the recording of the Spanish language version of Kokomo,
All right.
which I'm very curious about.
Okay. The hook is still the same, I'm guessing.
No, they have Spain has their own little names for everything. I don't know.
Okay. All right.
El Aruba. Yeah.
Okay. Well, hey, we'll be right back to talk about side 2. It's got to get better.
Oh yeah. All right. We're talking side 2 of Still Cruisin'. Finally, a good song. Wipeout. We all know that song.
Yeah, classic.
The Safari.
Yeah, that's the whole song, and it's great. So track 2, actually, this is a different version of Wipeout.
They made a few choices with this.
Yeah, this is the Fat Boys, and like apparently I didn't know this exactly, but it really is a Fat Boys song. It's their take on Wipeout with like really like guest appearances by.
Yeah.
I think you hear Brian going like do.
Hot take. Hot take.
Yeah.
This is the best song on this album. This is the best song on this album, and here's why. Because the Beach Boys pretty much, it's not a Beach Boys song.
Well,
It's a Fat Boy song.
I don't know much about the Fat Boys, but I kind of like it. I didn't really pay attention to the lyrics, but they have.
It's bad. It's whatever.
It's terrible.
Terrible.
I described it as bargain bin Run DMC.
I like
Yes.
the Beastie Boys style, sort of shout rapping and alternating. You know the
Right. It's tongue in cheek.
The guy's a decent beatboxer at the end.
It's tongue in cheek. They don't take themselves too seriously,
Oh,
much
yeah.
like the Beastie Boys. It's a lot like that. Except the difference is Mike Love is serious, and he's like, "Oh, we want money. Sure, we'll put our thing in it." But it's just like it's novelty. It's again, it's not cool anymore. But like 2 years ago when the Fat Boys did it, it was like whatever. They kind of like they didn't take themselves seriously. That's the difference.
Here's the thing. Regardless of the quality of the song, the music video is a work of something
Wow, yeah.
in the surrealist category of filmmaking. if you like David Lynch or I don't know, Salvador Dali, you got to watch the music video for Wipeout by the Fat Boys and the Beach Boys.
I honestly, I don't think I've seen it.
It's very weird. Just right off the bat, it's got this weird professional wrestling sort of theme, and there's like these fisheye lenses.
I'm looking it up now.
And there's this like shit talk kind of thing where one of I forget even who, I think they're boxers actually, these two actual boxers, and then their hype men are like the Fat Boys on one side and the Beach Boys on the other side. And once they start like shit talking, one of them says to the Fat Boys, "I want to see you in a bathing suit." And then someone says, "I want to wipe you out," or something like that. And then it cuts to this sort of beach thing. They're all driving around in a Jeep, and then the Fat Boys individually have these dreams, fantasies kind of things. One guy's like pumping iron, then it dissolves to what it says is the reality, and he can't even lift the barbell.
What in the world?
And one of them's surfing. It's very bizarre.
Wow.
Yeah. Anyway, I'm gonna give that a Brian, the video.
Okay.
I don't know about this album.
Well, hey, wait a minute.
Oh.
It sounds like it's time for an episode of Sound of Vision.
All right.
right, it's time for Sound and Vision, where we discuss all things aesthetic using the scale provided to us by David Bowie. Glenn, if we really like something, we call it a
low.
That's right, Dave Bowie's masterpiece. Tim, if we don't like something, we call it a
Never let me down.
never let me down, in which David Bowie definitely let us down. And there's a comfortable middle ground. Let's dance. If we're okay with something, let's
I want to say that,
let's dance.
quick aside, Wipeout by the Fat Boys came out the same year as Licensed to Ill. I don't know who ripped off who. Anyway,
So the album cover here for Still Cruisin'.
it's like, is it a car?
Yeah, it's like
Okay, so they mean cruising down the street, not cruising in a boat, I guess. Yeah. It's terrible.
it's awful.
Yeah, the checkered flag. Yeah,
It's the lowest of the low, meaning the Never Let Me Down est of the Never Let Me Downs.
It's bad.
Yeah.
It's just
Never let me down. There was zero effort put into this.
Yeah.
I will say, I think the
Looks
Disney,
like the menu for a 50s diner.
I think the Disney film Cars took inspiration from
Yeah.
this album cover.
Aesthetically, the music video rate's a little higher. Give it Let's Dance. Yeah.
Well, it's weird.
We're this is a never let me down.
80s aesthetic. It's just not a good time. Not a good time.
Good episode.
Yeah, that's
All right, let's keep things moving along here. We only got about 8 minutes left or so.
The next track is called Make It Big. The only note I have on it is Bad Stuff.
Bad.
Yeah.
Don't make it big.
I have no memory of it.
I said, holy shit, this is even worse than the last song, which almost deserves a special level of congratulations. And oh god, those keyboards. I can't hear it in my head right now, but apparently
they're bad.
when I was listening to it,
That was the note, huh?
yeah.
All right, the next song is I Get Around, which,
So they re-recorded this
no.
in the 80s.
No.
They didn't.
See, the funny thing is, this is credited as being from Good Morning Vietnam. I know it from Flight of the
Flight of
Navigator.
the Navigator, right?
Absolutely,
Yeah,
Right?
and that's probably the first place I ever heard it.
So this got me thinking, because this is just laziness.
Oh,
this
yeah.
is laziness. But maybe this is Mike's repackage idea, because he knows the good stuff was from back in the 60s, and that's the stuff that people that should be on the albums. And so they're like, "Hey, what good?"
They're
movies?
jammed onto the end, and like they're just to fill out.
They're
the
not
running
part of this
time.
album.
Yeah.
That it doesn't count. It's not fair.
Yeah, they are, which is going to factor into my rating of this album. Yeah, and my note on this is clearly the greatest song ever recorded. Right?
These three are the appendix of the
at
album.
this point-
I listened to the previous 7, and I'm like, all right, these are pretty good.
Yeah.
And then I hear this, and I'm like, holy
I see.
shit.
You're rating it like the person who has only ever heard this one
Yeah,
album.
yeah.
The only
the
music
alien
you've
that
heard.
got this in
This
the time
is
capsule.
fucking
It's Still
amazing.
Cruisin', yeah.
And
If this is what
wow.
music is, this is a really good
this is
version
good.
of it.
Well, and this is, again, how whatever that robot or whatever it was in Flight of the Navigator, right? He was learning about music.
That's right.
Via that song.
Did it have a name?
I don't remember.
Pee Wee Herman.
I need to go watch that movie again.
Good movie.
I saw it in the theaters when I was a kid.
Nice.
Yeah.
It got me thinking, like, which actual songs that happened in Beach Boys movies were actually, like, well done.
Beach Boys
like,
movies?
No, Beach Boys songs that were actually contributed well to films.
I mean, All Summer Long at the very, very end of American Graffiti is
Right?
It's a little jarring, but the whole idea is like, oh, these people died in Vietnam, and then hey, it wasn't the summer fun. Anyway,
Right. American Graffiti.
Who cares? Who cares? Wouldn't it be nice?
Oh, hold on. I had one more note here.
okay.
It is, I'm a real cool head. I'm making real good bread.
Yeah.
I, for years and years, had no idea that was what
I mean, I
Brian
thought he
was
said
actually
kid.
singing there.
I thought he said real cool kid.
I'm a real cool head. I'm making real good bread.
Actually, a good use of a Beach Boy song in a movie is the next track, Wouldn't It Be Nice, in Roger and Me. It's actually very well used. That's a documentary, Michael Moore's first documentary.
All right.
But that's in The Big Chill, apparently. Sounds like a
it's
good
in The
song,
Big Chill.
too.
Was that big? Was The Big Chill like a big... I don't know.
I mean, yeah, it's like I think it's like an Oscar kind of movie. I've never seen
like
it.
a boomer touchstone, too.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
I remember my parents had the soundtrack. I don't ever remember listening to it, but...
See, when I think Beach Boys in movies, I go straight to Rush Hour.
I've never seen Rush Hour.
Oh.
So we watched this week Fantastic Mr. Fox.
Yeah, right.
And Heroes and Villains
Heroes
is
and
in
Villains
there.
is the opening.
And the Beach Boys doing Old Man River is in there.
Yeah.
And I Get Around is in there as well, too. It's not on the soundtrack.
I don't remember any of that. That's cool.
Yeah,
See, again.
I mean, Wes Anderson with
Yeah,
music, right?
totally.
I mean, come on.
Well, like in Rushmore, Jackie Chan goes and turns the radio. And he's like,
You
"Never
just
touch
said
a man."
Rushmore.
Rush Hour.
There's no Beach Boys in Rushmore.
Rush Hour.
Rush
I said
Hour
Rush
by Wes
Hour.
Anderson.
Yeah.
No, Rush Hour.
Danny,
Did I say
Hey,
Rushmore?
hey, we're getting really low on time.
Danny
So-
Glover reaches for the.
Yeah,
anyway,
Danny
okay.
Glover.
Last
Never
one,
touch a man's radio.
California Girls.
No, hold on. For Wouldn't It Be Nice, I said absolutely sublime.
Yes,
Has
wonderful song.
this band ever done anything else? I'd be curious. Yeah.
Yeah.
All right, and then California Girls.
Yeah, it's a yeah.
This
good.
is really good too.
Yeah, great
It's
song.
from Soul Man, the blackface movie.
That tracks. Maybe
Kind of does.
Yeah. All right. My final note on this is, so this is the first of all of these Beach Boys albums that we've covered. The first one that I do not own on vinyl.
I don't think you can.
Oh, you can. Yeah, I've looked it up on Discogs. You can buy it for about $40 or so.
It was Perfect Storm because when the whole like reissue madness started up, in which I would think Mike would be all about this because this would be cash for him.
No,
but
nobody wants this.
he
Like
stands
this isn't even on.
behind-
This isn't even on Spotify.
He's
Yeah.
right. He stands
They didn't reissue
behind.
it. Yeah,
they didn't
yeah.
reissue it, and so he stands behind that. My vision was ruined,
Yeah.
and so
He's got a
All right.
lot of artistic integrity. So my note here, in terms of like that, I don't own it on vinyl. Will I get it at some point? Maybe, but at the end of the day, there's really no glory in being a completist. Like,
wow,
there isn't.
Really?
It's
Okay.
not going to keep me from being one. I just completed my Guided by Voices collection.
Wow.
About 2 weeks ago.
wow, that's
I got the last two that
Wow.
they weren't cheap to get. And then what do? They just put out another
of
fucking
course,
album on
of
Friday
course,
because
of
it's
course.
Bob Pollard and that's
Yeah.
what he does every Friday. But anyway, there's no glory in being a completist. I'm not going to like earn a special badge for having, Still Cruisin' in my collection. So I'm not going to make a point of it, but it is, I have to acknowledge the first one that I don't actually have on vinyl. But,
I was knitting you a congratulatory sweater, but I guess I'll
Oh,
burn it now.
Okay, fine. All right, it's time to rate this piece of shit.
Manson. I'm only giving it a Manson because I assume there's worse
Yeah.
coming.
Yeah, it's a Manson. It's a definite Manson because, as you are right, there is worse still to come. It's a Manson.
It's Mike Love. It's Mike Love. It's Mike Love.
Are
It's the
you
worst.
really dropping our first Mike Love?
Can we have more than one Mike Love?
Yeah.
Yes. I'm not.
It's that bad. It's because of what it represents.
Okay.
Because of it's so bad. This album is so bad that Mike Love even rejects it.
You do have a point there.
that's true.
It's
It's
rating
awful.
on Rate Your Music is a
Ooh,
1.79.
that's way too high.
It's
Yeah.
awful. It's awful. And because everything that's on here is offensive. And the most offensive to the core is Kokomo because of what it represents.
I'm still on the It's a Manson, and here's the thing. So I just said it's a 1.
Because you love Kokomo.
No, I
I
said
love
it's
Kokomo.
a 1.79 on Rate Your Music. We have another Beach Boys album to listen to. Well, there's still a few, actually. Their next one, Summer in Paradise, is a 1.02.
No.
And you have to understand,
No.
the lowest anybody can rate anything on there is a 0.5. So trust me when I say we are not at the bottom of the barrel, gentlemen. Like,
Oh my.
The fact that it's not
gets
even
worse.
like it's 0.02, 1.02, not 1.2.
Yeah, 1.02.
That's weird.
Yeah.
Okay.
All right. So anyway, we got to wrap this thing up. A Manson, and a Mike Love. I think you're
Yeah.
wasting a Mike Love here because you don't know how
Man.
how
Okay.
no
low
limit.
the bottom of this
I
barrel
might
is.
regret that Mike Love.
All right. Well, let's take one last quick break, and we'll come back to wrap it all up. All right. Tim's struggling over there.
Still vomiting.
Yeah.
It's a mess.
It's terrible.
So we're gonna have to do
terrible.
another album next.
Here's the thing. On our catalog crawl, okay, this album, so there were 30 Beach Boys albums. This one came in at number 28.
What?
Yeah.
No.
Yeah. So anyway, we still got some
There's
more.
work. Oh no.
All right. Well, hey, we got to get going. We're running close to our hour time. So
very
until
sad.
then, this is Dog Down the Highway. We'll catch you next time.